government also expect public procurement to contribute to the national economic growth and poverty reduction in line with the national development goals. Of course, you know one of the national development goals is poverty reduction. So automatically, how does procurement promote to the national development goals? By, of course, having value for money, purchasing products that are of high quality, purchasing products that at least are matching with the market prices, purchasing products from the most reliable supplier mix. When we do that, automatically we shall achieve what we call value for money, which shall translate to fairness, which shall translate to equity in the national development goals. That is what you're supposed to understand. So we shall continue with the introduction and say, I shall show you where we are now going to incorporate budgeting. Public procurement plays an important role in the Kenyan economy. We have been told the total volume of public procurement in 2003-2004 was established to be, this is just an example, 3.64 billion US dollars. That is 9% of the GDP. Although the exact figure is not known, 9% of the GDP is a very significant amount and can make a big impact to development if well used. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever I'm trying to say, the reason why we are relating budgeting and procurement planning, we are saying if at all we have an efficient procurement plan, then automatically the budget is also going to be an understandable, a fair budget. What are we saying? Think of your own organization. How much do your organization spend in terms of public procurement? In terms of procurement, you shall find that most of organizations usually spend between 80 to 90% of whatever they get as revenue only for procurement. ZTech gets a lot of school fees from the students, but I can assure you, it uses that money, number one, to pay for the services the lecturers are offering. So automatically that is procurement. ZTech uses that money to pay for Wi-Fi so that students can enjoy internet. ZTech pays part of that money to subscribe to some certain links where a student can get soft copy notes and soft copy research. It uses that money to pay the cleaners, which it has outsourced. It uses that money to pay the security company, which it has outsourced. So what I'm trying to say, by the end of the day, when you calculate the amount of money that an organization, a country spends in procurement only, it is some amount of money that can cause great significant impact. So if procurement is not taken seriously, if we just take procurement just as any other activity, automatically we shall end up wasting a lot of money. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very sure you are aware of the different sagas, of the different corruption cases that you have ever heard of our country. Most of them relate to procurement. And why? It's because procurement is a sensitive docket that requires transparency, that requires a lot of honesty, that does not require any discrimination, that encourages fair competition. So in case these principles are not adhered, these principles are not implemented, automatically what's going to happen to procurement? Whatever happens now to procurement is we end up wasting a lot of money, money that we call public money, money that is out of the tax that you pay as a citizen. And that is now the problem with the dwindling corruption in our country, and that is what you're watching. So let's continue with the notes. Procurement planning directly links the procurement function to the budget preparation. That is so key. Procurement planning directly link the procurement function to the budget preparation. Think of it. Really, by all means, can the budget be prepared without a procurement plan? Whatever we are saying, a procurement plan contribute a very significant portion in the preparation of a budget, because it is in the procurement plan that we shall identify the various needs from the various departments. It is in the procurement plan that we shall know that the user department, like production department, requires some 8 vehicles for this year. So automatically, the identification is what is now going to determine the fund or the money estimate that we shall allocate to those particular assets. And that is what you are saying. Of course, look at marketing department, look at HR department. When it comes to increasing the number of labor in the HR department, it must be incorporated, it must be identified by the procurement rules through proper specification, so that finance can be notified, so that finance can put or can allocate some particular portions of money to such recruitments. So budget execution is affected by procurement. That is necessarily what you're meaning. That, of course, we cannot have a budget when we have failed in procurement planning. Imagine we forecasted and we included 5 motor vehicles that were needed by the manufacturing department, whereas they were supposed to be 8 motor vehicles. Automatically, the whole thing is going to be dismantled, because if we failed in procurement planning, then automatically we are also going to fail in the budget execution. So what are we saying in conclusion? Unless procurement has been planned adequately, unless we plan our procurement very well, with realistic times taken into account for the preparation of procurement requirements, and allotment of the budget taken seriously, the budget execution would be hampered. We shall not have a budget if we make a mistake in the procurement plan. If we estimate that a particular proceeding, a particular purchase proceeding is going to take 6 months, but it exceeds and takes 8 months, automatically this will dismantle the whole element of budgeting. And that is why we are saying, by all means, a budget is an element of a procurement plan. Planning the procurement requirements helps forecasting when a tender may be launched. So automatically, it is in a procurement plan that we know when a tender will be initiated. And all the proceeding of the contract until the day that we shall pay the particular supplier, all this information is going to be included in the procurement plan. We shall have a basis of preparing a budget. Planning the procurement requirements help forecasting. I think that one I have said. A procurement plan is also a critical internal control tool. Why do we always say it's a critical internal control tool? We say it's a critical internal control tool because whatever we have in our procurement plan must match with the budget, and also must match with the practical activities that are conducted in the organization. That is what we are looking for. Each procurement requirement should be planned as part of the budget preparation process, and it should be reflected in the procurement plan. My dear colleagues, what I can want to remind you, we don't by any means purchase anything. We don't by any means purchase anything that is not within the budget framework. If something has not been verified by the finance department that it is within the budget, then that thing cannot continue with the procurement proceedings. Let's know that. Poor procurement management without well managed links to the budget can totally undermine the budget process can totally undermine the budget process. So I was talking, I was just that I wanted for that. So I was saying, I hope you're getting me. I don't want to talk around. If you're not getting me, kindly make sure you type on the public chat. So I hope you're getting me. I was here and I was saying poor procurement management without well-managed links to the budget can totally undermine the budget process. My dear friends, if you make any blunder in the preparation of our procurement plan, just know the end result in the budget is going to be a mess. A good budget should start with a good procurement plan. It is at the implementation where the procuring entity procures pretty much what it pleases without due regard to a procurement plan, which in turn is directly tied to the budget process. Whatever we are saying, there is no way the budget can succeed without a good procurement plan. If we mess in the procurement plan, we have messed with the budget. If we do wrong forecast, we have messed with the budget. If we don't identify the critical need, the real needs that the user department needs, we have messed with the budget. And that is why we are referring to budgeting as an element of procurement planning. So there's something that we have also said here. Procurement forms an integral part of the budget execution process. Procurement planning forms a crucial input to budget preparation and the management of budget releases. The effectiveness of audit duly dependent on how effectively procurement is managed. You can just imagine if the budget gives us a certain portion of money and then we refuse and say, this money, maybe it gives us like 80 million in purchasing some maybe 2 aircrafts. And then we refuse and say, this money is insufficient and therefore we cannot be able even to purchase even 1 aircraft. Automatically, the whole performance of the organization, the whole budgeting preparation, the whole budgeting releases is going to be hampered. And that is what we are saying. Establishing a budget is just an explanation how procurement planning, how a budget is an element of procurement planning. Establishing a budget, once you have broken your project into various activities, you'll be able to calculate your overall project cost by estimating and totaling the individual activity cost. The process of subtotaling cost by category or activity is called cost aggregation. Just a way of establishing a budget. I think in establishing a budget, what usually happens, ladies and gentlemen, the national budget, let me just give an example of the national budget. Before the Minister of Finance, on that supreme day, announces the national budget, there are very many other activities that usually happens on the background. These activities include totaling up the budget for various ministries. You can just imagine the Ministry of Education had its own procurement plan and there is a way it had budgeted. The Ministry of Sports and Culture had its own plan and budget. The Ministry of Gender had its own plan and budget. The Ministry of Tourism had its own budget. Talk about it. So it involves aggregating so that we can come up with a total figure and we say the budget for this year will be 3.7 trillion and this is how we are going to raise revenue because that is what the minister usually say. That out of 3.7 trillion, we can only afford 2.7 from KRA, 2.7 trillion maybe from KRA. The rest of the money we shall borrow. From where? From either the domestic lenders or international lenders. Budget timeline. Costs are associated with activities, and since each activity has a start date and duration period, it is possible to calculate how much money would be spent by any particular date during the project. I do hope you guys are doing a unit called project and contract management. If you are doing a unit called project and contract management, then that is where you shall study something called network analysis. In network analysis, we always have an activity having a start time and an activity having a finish time. We shall find, of course, that is the duration. If each activity has a start time and it also has a finish time, then the duration in the middle is whatever we shall use to estimate the required duration. So a schedule of money transfer is created. So we must have all these, the timeline reconciling with the project activities, the project activities reconciling with the project total cost, the project total cost reconciling with the budget that has been allocated for that particular project. We also have commitment control, and commitment control talks about the availability of funds. Remember, in the component of procurement planning, we said one of the critical components of procurement planning is the source of funds. And we said, and we were cautioned against starting or initiating any procurement proceedings without having sufficient fund to continue the procurement proceedings. So commitment control is an echo, is something that must be inputted in a budget. We may estimate that our budget for the organization ZTEC this time is 300 million. But in there below, we must also indicate where are we going to get this 300 million. Are we going to get it from the students' school fees? Are we going to get a portion of that money as students' school fees and a portion of it we shall borrow from the bank? No, that is important. So when we talk of commitment control in a budget, we talk of availability of funds, labeling and filing of procurement documentation. It is the obligation of procurement officers within procurement units to coordinate with finance or accounting departments or accounting officers to ensure that all procurement files are clearly labeled. Remember, material coding or what we call codification are clearly labeled with a unique and sequential identification code, that is material coding. And of course, they are up to date. So it's upon the procurement officer to ensure that all the files relating to specific procurement activities are clearly labeled, and they are also kept when they are up to date. So of course, we have files for payment that we have made. We have files for receipt of goods. We have files for consignment notes. We have files for delivery notes. We have files for the various services or activities that we have performed. In this way, it becomes possible to facilitate effective contract administration. When you have written evidence, when you have kept good files, when you have kept good records, you can be able to monitor, you can be able to follow up, you can be able to sue a supplier when he fails to perform as per the agreement. The next portion in a budget is audit. And we are saying it's mandatory that all procurement entities must be audited yearly. There's something we call internal audit, and there's something we call external audit. External audit is compulsory for all procuring entities to verify whether the apportioned resources have been utilized as per the expectation. We always say that the major purpose of an audit is not to punish, but to improve the internal control systems of the organization. We must ensure that you have proper books of records. You must ensure that you have sufficient minutes. You must ensure that you have kept all files of any activity, procurement activity. If you receive goods, you must receive them with a delivery note. If you receive goods, you must receive them with a good receive note. If you receive goods, you must receive them with a consignment note, with a packing note. All these documents should be kept in separate files because these are the documents that the auditor is going to come and audit. The next one is operation procurement planning. And in here we are saying the ultimate goal of procurement planning is coordinated and integrated action to fulfill a need for goods, services, or works in a timely manner and at a reasonable cost. That is the ultimate goal of a procurement plan. To ensure that we have delivered or we have received whatever we were supposed to receive. To ensure that whatever we have received or have been supplied with, we have been supplied at the most reasonable price. So early and accurate planning is essential to avoid last-minute emergency or ill-planned procurement. Procurement, in addition, most potential savings in the procurement process are achieved by improvement in the planning stages. Remember, our major aim to the organization is to make as much saving as we can. And we do this saving by making sure that we negotiate with the potential suppliers on the reduction of prices. We make this potential saving by the improvement that we can make in the planning stages. We make this saving by ensuring that we purchase the right quality of materials. Whatever we are saying, in situations where planning is difficult, such as emergencies, sometimes we are forced to use what we call direct procurement. In case there are emergencies, where there are emergencies, it's always advisable to take proactive measures to ensure contingency planning. You must always have a plan B that's going to cater for emergency. And it's always good to be prepared to address such kind of emergencies. For example, how can you prepare for such kind of emergencies? Number one, advanced identification of suitable suppliers. It's always good to have at least a good supplier mix, supplier optimum mix, that in case a particular supplier can fail you, you know where to get the next as soon as you can. You're not going to waste time searching for a supplier in the whole world. You know where to get this kind of good suppliers. That is number one amongst the various measures that you can take. Development of standard specification of products and services or works. It's always good not to go back to zero. It's always good to prepare in case of emergencies and have those standard specifications, known specification, that in case there is an emergency, you just send a quotation to the supplier and he delivers the product that you want. We also say good procurement planning is essential to optimize contribution of procurement function toward achieving the overall goals of the organization. Of course, good procurement planning will enable you, will enable an organization to achieve all the goals, that is the vision, the mission, and the goals of the organization to be achieved. Why? Because good procurement planning supports transparency. It supports development of key indicators. It supports effective and timely solicitation of offers. It supports early requisitions. It supports early identification of light commodities. It supports sourcing of the light suppliers. It supports effective use of the best supply strategy. It supports having avoiding unnecessary exigencies and urgencies. Exigencies is when you quit anyhow. So of course, if you have planned yourself adequately, you shall not quit away. You shall not just quit anyhow from the game. That is what you are referring. All that. So I think we had talked about this. We have various types of procurement plans, but the most common one we see we have consolidated procurement plan, and we also have individual procurement plan. We said a consolidated procurement plan is a procurement that is done. It's a procurement plan that is done by the whole organization, and it involves, of course, resources or goods from the various departments within an organization, which are consolidated, which are aggregated, and they are initiated to be purchased as one. Individual procurement planning, we said, this is where a particular department prepares its own procurement plan. So with consolidated is the organization preparing the whole procurement plan for the whole organization. With the individual, we are finding each department preparing a separate procurement plan for its own. So I think it's all indicated in here. I think that one we had gone through when you are talking of the various types of procurement plan, information sources, consolidation. So I think we had talked much about, maybe we can just have a recap, various types of procurement plan. Once this data has been collected from all appropriate sources, I think I have said this is for the whole organization. A consolidated procurement plan is for the whole organization, and then the good practice is to publish the consolidated procurement plan in the website, in the organization website. It's always good. In fact, I will share with you one. Let me just check. I had requested someone to send me a modern procurement plan. Let me see whether a particular person has sent me. Confirm. Still not yet. I think I'll just follow up. I wanted to show you an example of a procurement plan that has been published on the website. I think the person was supposed to send me via link. Maybe next time I will show you what we mean by a consolidated procurement plan. So it's a good practice to always publish it in the organization website. Individual procurement plans, we said, of course, these are plans that are prepared by the department. They are prepared individually by the department. And of course, the scope of individual plan depends on the complexity of the requirement. It's always a good practice to make a plan in the case of low risk or low spend requirements. It is the responsibility of the procurement officer to ensure that appropriate level of procurement planning is conducted. So for the individual procurement plan, it is the responsibility of the procurement officer to ensure that at least it has been conducted. And then, of course, we had another category which was unique, that is significant purchases. And we said these are purchases that are unique. They are special in nature. Like, for example, if you want to purchase something like an aircraft that could cost an organization a lot of money, then I don't think it could lie under the concept, because it's just one item. It cannot lie under the consolidated procurement plan, neither can it lie under the individual procurement plan. So we classify such item under the significant purchases, purchases that usually occupy a large portion of the company's money. I think that one we had covered. Of desired procurement outcomes and objectives. These are the stakeholders. We know who are the stakeholders in a procurement plan. Of course, they can include what? Development partners, clients, end users. A stakeholder is any person or organization that has either positive or negative interest in the company's operations, in the company's performance. Anyone who is wishing you the best is your stakeholder. Anyone also who is wishing you the worst, your enemy, is your stakeholder. So they include partners, they include clients, they include end users, they include civil society, they include senior management, they include the finance, they include the technical experts, and many more. So it's important to identify the interest. So you must be knowing what interest these people have. Like, for example, if I ask you, what are the interests of development partners in project, in procurement initiation? So you find, of course, these are individuals who may be wishing you the best. And if they wish you the best, they want you to utilize efficiently the money that they have helped you with. The clients, these people are concerned more about the product that you are going, they require, they want you to purchase the highest quality of product. End users, civil society interest, they want you not to suppress. They want you to buy goods that are meeting all environmental safety regulations. Senior management, they want you to effectively have value for money in the goods that you're purchasing. Finance, they want you to utilize the money that they have given you in the most economical means possible. All that. So we have the specific objective of key stakeholders may relate to, there are some who want you to deliver on time, those are the delivery times, adherent to specific regulatory frameworks. I think I have talked of civil society, who may be wanting you to obey all the NEMA rules, to obey all the environmental rules. Sourcing from specific group of suppliers, they want some individuals. They want you to source or to get your products from individuals or from suppliers who are well reputed, who are well known, who have good images. Use of specific brand if justified. There are some specific stakeholders who want you to buy products for buy product with specific brands. Like they may be wanting you to buy Mercedes vehicles of any other mode of vehicle. So all these individuals we are saying, they are important and they contribute to both the procurement plan and also the budget. Information gathering. So information gathering stage relates to collecting and analyzing two types of information. And the type of information that we are discussing here, we have the definition of requirements. The definition of requirements, this is where you truly want to exactly know what your client needs. And this is where it involves correcting specification. A customer or a user must be able to tell exactly the kind of item he or she exactly needs. And this can only be told by a proper specification, clear specification. And again, analysis of the supply market. Analysis of the supply market, this is where we talk of demand supply curve, where we must know how many people are willing to purchase this particular product, or how many suppliers we have for particular kind of products that we may be willing. It's always good to know whether you have a monopoly kind of supplier, you have a duopoly kind of supplier, or you have very many suppliers in the market. This will enable you make proper decision. Because if suppliers are many, then you're not going to waste your time negotiating with only one particular supplier. Not going to exploit you, but if he's the only one, you don't have a choice. So the last content in that specific topic is development of the procurement plan. And we are saying, once the objective have been set and the relevant information on the requirement definition and supply has been gathered, the next stage is to develop a procurement plan. A key element of this is the selection of the procurement method to use. I think I explained the last time more about this. We have various procurement methods as you studied in your public procurement. We have direct procurement, we have force account, we have electronic reverse, we have design competition, we have open tendering, we have framework agreement, and any other type. So of course, whatever we are saying, in the preparation, in the development of procurement plan, we must identify, according to the nature of the materials that we want to purchase, the right procurement method that you are going to use. Once the procurement method has been selected or identified, then the procurement plan can be elaborated. The light procurement method will help us to know how exactly or which procedure, because of course, when you go to open tendering, it has a different procedure. It is more expensive. Sometimes we usually say it can take even 6 months before you get the product. If we go to request for quotation, it can take a week maximum. So it all depends on the kind or the type of procurement method that you have chosen. Typically, the procurement plan would incorporate the following information. I think it's just a narration, it's just an addition to tell you what exactly a procurement plan should incorporate. And it should incorporate things to do with what? Procurement objectives and performance indicators. Which objective, by the end of the day, do you have as a procurement function? How well will you know whether you have achieved the objective that you wanted or the objective that you have been or not? Breakdown of activities in accordance with the selected procurement methods. It's always good to have a breakdown of activities. Identification of responsible party. Allocate various responsibility to different individuals so that you can help them accountable in case there is an error, in case there is a mistake. There's no you can be doing everything for yourself. Timeline and milestones. How long will it take to advertise a tender notice? How long will it take to evaluate? How long will it take to open? How long will it take to award a contract? All these must be considered when you're preparing a procurement plan. And with that note, I think that calls the end of our today's session. That is budgeting as an element of procurement planning. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm very sure you can now embrace that budgeting is an element of procurement planning, meaning that a budget can never, at any single day, succeed, be called a budget, be implemented if the procurement plan was ignored. I beg to stop from there with your permission. I will therefore give this session for any question. If you have any question, kindly post it, ask it via the public chat. We can also unmute our mic. We can also unmute our mic. I want questions. I can see a question from Chair Frederick. Chair Frederick, you're asking a question. How will you assist those who did not sit for the car that is so private? I'm not sure, but I will also ask for guidance because the first cut was system generated, system marked. We shall organize how we are going to give makeup for those who missed, but with genuine reasons. Moses, you are saying there is no question. What about Diana? I can see Mokwana somewhere. Time he's joining when they are through with our class. Diana, you have a question? Fred, you have a question? Apart from that one, we shall see. I think I have answered you. I have said we shall see whether, and unless the reason is so justifiable, we shall see how we are going to do or organize for the makeup cut. Although it was system counted. So I don't know how. I will also first get guidance. Samuel Mukwana is joining now. So I think with that, with those few remarks, we can end our lesson. Thank you so much. You can now go and join the discussion forum. Make sure you contribute in the discussion forum. Make sure you contribute in the chats that I have posted. I think when you do that, understanding capacity is going to be increased. Thank you so much. Mukwana, you are joining now. When you are through with our lesson, you are so late. We are through. So join us next time. Forget their own affairs and further,
promotion of socioeconomic development, and providing easily accessible